My name is Andrew Grodhaus. I interned with Windham Brannon, as did Ben Davidson. It's an accounting firm in Brookhaven, Buckhead area. However, I interned slightly with a different department, which I'm going to get into. First, I'm going to talk about how I got the internship, some initial recommendations, my experience, and lastly, some final remarks and recommendations for prospective students. So what to look for first is to find a common culture that meshes with your own ideals, and to find an internship in which you would believe to pursue long-term, as this might change from getting that internship and finding out a little bit about it. And lastly, some perceived value in the form of knowledge or experience gained as a result of that internship. The power of networking can drastically broaden your professional possibilities. Utilizing sites like LinkedIn and Handshake allow for virtual networking to pretty much anywhere across the globe these days, as well as establishing and maintaining relationships with classmates, professors, and any other professional outlets will create more possibilities than you can imagine. The application process for me began with enhancing and polishing my resume, and I want to say thank you to Stephanie with Career Coaching for helping me. It led to a phone call interview as a preliminary point of contact with HR, where I recommend doing your research on the firm before the call, as well as before the on-site interview as the final piece, where I recommend overdressing rather than underdressing and doing that research. How I got the internship was I was connected with HR through a contact of my brother, so utilizing some form of connections. And I interned with Windham Brannon over the previous summer. However, returned this spring for busy season experience to really engage what it really means to work for an accounting firm during the busy season. A little bit about Windham Brannon, the firm. They serve primarily in these 5 industries, and as Ben Davidson had served in the tax side, I was working in assurance, as it most closely related to my goals and interests in the accounting field. Assurance involves these 3 services, where financial statement audits was the focus for me over the spring season. I worked with employee benefit plan audits over the previous summer, which deals with 401ks and pension plans for companies. And SOC reporting is one department I had less experience with. Financial statement audits involves reviewing a financial activity for the prior year. It involves a lot of compliance-related procedures, but also a lot of analysis of the operations. And it involves a lot of extensive cooperation with necessary paperwork or documentation, which is why I kind of chose assurance. Ultimately, it provides reasonable assurance to investors and shareholders. The clients that Windham Brannon serves involves the following mostly. It provides a vast array of clients. However, these were the ones I found to be working with real estate being the most prominent. Most of my engagements seem to be real estate related, as that is obviously a big piece of business these days. The client engagement, I was be assigned to a client by a senior manager, in which the teams would consist of the following: an intern if available, as well as an associate with less experience, a lead senior associate or manager who would take on the brunt of the engagement, as well as a senior manager and principal who would sign off on all work papers and kind of supersede the entire client engagement. The initial point of contact for an engagement involved a planning meeting, where it was led by the lead associate, and we would discuss prior year operations of the firm, evaluate an audit risk and performance materiality, utilizing this basis dependent on that firm. We would also discuss the budget for the engagement team and what would be expected of the team in the timeline. As an intern, my primary responsibility was working with cash for these different companies, where I would review bank reconciliations, bank confirms, and tie out these amounts to the company's general ledger. The term cash is often thrown around the office, as it is relatively straightforward and a good playing field for me to learn the auditing world. My second responsibility would often vary from client to client, but often I would be working on property, plant, and equipment, which involved a process of detailed analysis of testing the depreciation of fixed assets for the firm, which would consist of vehicles, computers, and other equipment. I would also perform some form of asset sampling in coordination with our materiality. A special type of audit I found was HUD compliances, which was special real estate firms where some rental income was provided by government services for lower income individuals and families. And I would provide mostly compliance related procedures such as rental payments and work order testings. So the coronavirus disruptions for me, thankfully, my internship continued as our company was able to successfully implement a work from home policy, utilizing Microsoft Teams as a primary point of contact between engagement teams. And the communication frequency varied from team to team, but often consisted of daily conference calls to keep everyone engaged as a team, especially me as an intern. And why I chose to intern and actually accept full time with Windham Brannon was that they matched the culture that I value within a firm, as well as their opportunities to learn about various and diverse industries and their financial operations. And lastly, their tuition reimbursement programs, in which I intend to utilize as I attend GSU in the fall to earn my master's of accountancy. Something unique about Windham Brannon was the coach and buddy system, where each employee was assigned a coach and buddy. A coach would be a more experienced associate as a point of contact for professional development, while a buddy was, just as the name would imply, someone who you could go to for day-to-day questions and not be too worried about it. The value I gained from the internship was that it gave me professional accounting experience I was looking for while leading to a full-time position. In addition, I learned a lot about various industries, client engagements, and the aspects of time management, obviously between balancing academics along with the internship. The connections that I found to Oglethorpe classes were mostly related to these three, where managerial accounting provided the groundwork necessary to learn and grow, auditing being the most relevant class, which prepared me with proper dialogue and language to communicate in the office, and mathematics and human nature simply promotes problem solving and critical thinking necessary in accounting or any professional environment. And my final recommendations would be proactive by starting as early as you can to see what you want from a firm and deciding what you really want from a job, as well as taking advantage of any career engagement staff opportunities who can help you along the way, and attend all job-related events here at Oglethorpe University. Thank you.